Chapter 2, Lesson 1, Advanced Algebra, looking at relations and functions. And in this video, we're going to introduce relations, or hopefully reintroduce them. I think you probably recognize them once we start talking about them. And a relation is simply a set of pairs of input and output values. So you have these pairs of inputs and outputs, you gather them all together, and that would be a relation. Now, the pairs of inputs and outputs you've seen before, these are coordinates in a coordinate plane, and every point in the plane has an x part of it and a y. You go to the right or to the left x, and then you go up or down y. So this is a pair. A relation is a set of those. So you might have 3 or 4 ordered pairs in a set. Now, domain, if you haven't heard this before, this is a very important vocabulary word. Domain is the set of all the input values. In other words, you take this set of ordered pairs. So let's say you have these 4 ordered pairs. You take all of the x values and you put those together. That's called the domain. The range would be all of the y values. So you take all of the y values, just the y values from those ordered pairs, put them together in a set, and that would be what we call the range. So it's very important to remember this. Domain is always the x values, and the range are always the y values. Okay, so a relation is a set of ordered pairs. Now we can put these up in what we call a mapping diagrams, and what a mapping diagram does is it links each x value that you have all grouped together in the domain, and it connects them or links them to the y value that goes with it, because you have them all separated. You have all the x's. Oh, there's the bell. Lunchtime for junior high. Okay, sorry. So you have a domain, you have all of these x values, and then in the range these are all y values, and as you notice we link them with this arrow. So if an x value of -5 has a y value of -10, this x value of -1 has a y value of -2, and this x value of -3 has a y value of 2, and this x value of 3 again has a y value of 6. So these are the ordered pairs, and when you group them together in their domain, all of the x values, and you group these all together, the y values, and you link them with these arrows, this diagram here is called a mapping diagram. And these are going to be very useful tools when we start looking at functions. Okay, so what's it going to look like for you? So it says here to make a mapping diagram or a mapping for the relation, and it has these 3 ordered pairs. Okay, so this is a set of ordered pairs. There's only 3 points in this relation. So to make the domain, or to make a mapping, you draw these little boxes or squares, whatever you'd like. Label them as domain and one as range. Now the domain, you remember, are all the x values. So you take each x value, this 0, this 1, and this 2, those go in here as the domain. And then you take the y values, this 2, this 3, and this 4, and they go in as the range. So these are all the x values from the relation, and these are all the y values from the relation. So that makes up my domain, that makes up my range. And now I link these using arrows. So if I look at my ordered pair, the x value 0 has a y value of 2, so I draw an arrow from 0 to 2. And then the y value, x value, has a y value of 3, so the x value 1 has a y value of 3, and the x value 2 has a y value 4. So this would be a mapping diagram of this relation. Okay, I'm going to give you one more, and I'd like you to stop the video and make a mapping of this in your notes, and then come back and see how you did. Okay, so to make the mapping diagram, we make a box or oval for a domain. We label it domain and we label it range. And now in the domain goes all of the x values. So we're going to have 2, -1, 0. -1, now you don't have to list it twice. Always list it once. In fact, don't list it twice. Only list it once, because again, we're going to use this tool to determine whether a relation is a function. And if you write the same x value twice or the same y value twice, then the tool's not going to work. You're not going to be able to see whether it's a function or not. So only write each value once. So -2, -1, 0, and 2 are all my x values. And then I have 8 here as my part of my range, 5, and then 8's already been written, and then a 3, and then 3 again, but that's already been written. Then we go ahead and link these using the arrow going to the appropriate x value, or from the appropriate x value to the appropriate y value. So positive 2 goes to negative 8, so you draw from 2 to 8. Negative 1 goes to 5, 0 goes to 8, negative, well, I keep doing that, negative 1 goes to 3, and negative 2 goes to 3. So this would be a mapping of this relation. Make sure you label your domain and range, and make sure that you only list the values once. Otherwise, we're going to have, well, the tool is not going to work when you try to figure out what a function is. So those are relations, and that's pretty much all there is. In the next video, we'll talk about functions.